because I don't know if people are like, that guy's a jerk. Now,
I think you're safe.
okay, is it okay to later post this next year when we post all our video?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So we're probably we're gonna call this episode the Farron and Harper's Tale, but I think we're gonna call it something else. So yeah, whenever John you can come back on, we'll set that up. Brennan, I'm not sure how to start this one because we had it planned around tap.
You know what though? I mean, when we've heard Matt on Ink Heist, he's been with Sarah. He's been featured with John. This is Matt's episode, and Harper's, of course. But
see, I still can't get my own.
Well, before we even start, you're welcome to come back solo, man. All right, Brennan, do you want to introduce this one?
Nope, go ahead.
Okay. Let me get my little notebook in front of me. All right, here we go. Welcome to Dead Headspace. I'm your host, Patrick R. McDonough. You can find us on iTunes. I messed that up. Sorry, guys. My notes are all screwy.
I'm sorry. I should have done it. Go ahead, dude.
Take two. Welcome to Dead Headspace. You can find us on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, and all other major platforms. I'm your host, Patrick R. McDonough, joined always by my co-host, Brennan LaFaro. Say hi, Brennan.
Hello, everybody.
And today we're talking with Matt, Corley, and Harper. Hello, guys.
Hello.
So, Brennan, normally we ask what got you into horror, but I think we're going to ask what got Harper's Tale started. I think that's probably the best way to begin.
We can start there. That's a great idea. We can still talk scary stuff later, too. Harper.
Oh, yeah, you're not off the hook, Matt. You're going to have to tell us what got you into horror at some point, but I think we definitely want to hear about the genesis of Harper's Tale to begin.
Yep.
Well, let's talk about...
Hadn't you just finished, writing a book?
I was writing...
Or just started or something?
No, I just finished two, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, I finished one for Sandy and one for Wolfgang.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about it. Let's talk about first. So what happened? What happened first?
When I started feeling really weak and stuff, and so we went to the hospital after a while, and I got diagnosed with leukemia, and then we got admitted, and then we had some really fun nurses and stuff.
Talk to that camera.
And we had some really fun nurses and stuff, and then what did we do? I can't remember.
That's okay. So last year actually. So in 2019.
A year and a half ago.
Yeah, in the winter, Harp just wasn't feeling good. Crazy busy, active kid normally.
I wasn't eating.
Yeah, and so what happened was one of the days we were going to visit my partner and her boys, and I actually had to carry her across a parking lot. And my partner's a physician, and so she's like, you know what? We'd already taken Harp in, and they thought she might have the flu or something like that. And then she's like, you know what? No, you really need to call and talk to your pediatrician again. And so we got a chance to talk to our pediatrician, not the on-call one, and she sent us to a close hospital. We went in and blood work and found out that Harp had leukemia. And so that afternoon we went to Children's Hospital downtown. We were admitted on February 2nd, and we were there for, were we there 4 weeks, or was it like...
It was 4 weeks, definitely.
Was it like 4 weeks?
It was definitely
I think it was 4 weeks. And it was tough at times.
And they made me go on this medicine that sucked and made me always hungry, and it sucked.
Yeah. So.
And it gave me pimples.
It did, actually. So, there were lots of different things that we were working on, and I'd already written a couple of RPG books, D&D books, actually. And it was funny because I'm sitting there and I was talking to my friend Ben McFarland, who's another designer, and a couple were like, well, let's do maybe a little adventure or something like that. And something else I saw too at the same time is Joe Manganiello, who is kind of all over he was like on True Blood, is like kind of that scary thing. He was Alcy. He was on Magic Mike. His wife is Sofia Vergara. I mean, Joe seems like a really, really nice guy from what I've heard. And Joe is a huge, crazy D&D fan, like crazy D&D fan. He like converted the wine cellar they have in their like amazing house into this like dungeon thing. And he's from Pittsburgh, and he went to Children's at Pittsburgh and played games, played D&D for kids there. And so I just thought about it. You know, I mean, Harper's stuck in a chair, or you know, she's in the bed. I mean, she was in the bed.
I love playing D&D.
Aw.
So the kids are, I mean, she's in the bed, other kids are in the beds, and we just started talking about it and like, well, let's just figure out something. And, you know, we really just kind of did it in bits and pieces of kind of creating like an outline. You know, she created a lot of the outline. And then the friends of ours, you know, other writers kind of fleshed it out. But, you know, Harper did some art. You did, what else did you do?
I did writing. I did like 800 words, I think.
Yeah. So she did the 800-word short story in the front. We had it edited and everything, of course. I paid her 3 cents a word because it was her first professional gig. So she doesn't get pro rates yet. But she did get 3 cents.
And she's working her way up to pro rates.
Hey, that's more than anything I've made on a story.
So tell us a little bit about what you remember, because I know you haven't even read it or done any of it in a long time.
I remember about like the book.
Mhm.
I remember like at the beginning that I had just like started getting like really into drawing, and I was still in like, and I was like, and I was still in second grade, and I wasn't really that good at drawings. But once I got in like started third grade, I started working on more art and pieces in the book and stuff, and every time like a new art piece would come in, my dad would like call me into like his office, and then we would look at it, and one time I got really mad at my dad, and so I made this character. I asked him what his middle name was, and then I made a character. It was based off of like the character in Moana, the bad guy, but it was made out of a tree instead of like lava. And then I named it after my dad, because I was super mad at him.
Yep. So I'm the bad guy in the short story.
That's you know, even more than professional rates, there is, you know, your burgeoning like professional writer is taking, you know, real life villains and working them into fantastic villains. Perfect.
In my journal right now, I'm doing these like characters, and it's basically based off of kind of like an Avatar: The Last Airbender, like all the different characters, but instead they're kind of like different elements. And and one of them's a lot like one of the characters, and it's basically like this girl who can control water, and her name's Yue, named after the princess in Avatar, Yue, which means moon in Japanese, I think. And so and then I basically just changed the background story, and the art, and then all the characters are basically based off of someone in like the show that I really liked.
Yeah,
Very cool.
Yeah, so one of the things that we did a lot of, and I think that was what kind of surprised some folks, is kind of the process of it. You know, Harper did a lot of the campaign, like the basic outline of so in the book, you know, there's a disease that's going through the forest, and it's moving from village to village. And the characters, you know, that play the game are there to try to understand why it's happening. And then once they do that, cure it and stop it. And when we did it, we actually did a lot of stuff that a lot of Easter eggs, some of which probably won't make sense to people until I say it maybe. But, you know, we basically set it up where someone's loved one is hurt and sick, and that person actually kind of goes bad because they're doing anything they can to find the cure. And so they're actually experimenting on people, making them feel sick with medicine. So there's kind of the chemotherapy thing where, you know, you take the medicine and it's there to help you, but it really sucks. I mean, there's nothing fun about it. And even like trials where, you know what, you try it on people that are healthy, see how they react. I mean, and so we kind of did that sort of thing. there's even a couple others, like a lot of the chemo. One of the things that she was has been on before is actually they're plant-based. There's stuff based on like red fungus and a couple other plants, etoposide and vincristine and stuff, and they're in there. And you actually have to find these ingredients in the forest in a certain way. We do have zoogs in there. We have.
I don't know what a zoog is.
Oh, the zoogs are so cool. They're the little rat things with the tentacle mouths.
Oh, those things.
Yeah, those are so cool. Some dreamlands. There's some talking cats, of course, like cats of Ulthar. There's a ling spider. I mean, so we threw in some. I mean, so the other thing was kind of funny. Is like, so me, of course, and Ben and Brian. So a couple of the guys, we tend to write harder, more kind of dark type games anyway. And this is very much a fairy tale. I mean, this is not. This is a investigation.
It's like what I like to write.
Yep.
Fairy tales. I like one time at school, I spent like a month or two because we were doing these fairy adaptations, and I made this really cool version of Cinderella, but it was basically in modern times, and instead of her being like with her evil stepmothers and stuff, she got fired from her job at a modeling agency, and then she like loses everything, and then it like reminds her of how her mom, and then there was like a background story on how her mom died and how she had these earrings that were the last thing that she got from her, and then basically at the end she went to this ball, like big party, and then instead of like having a prince or anything, it was her getting a new contract to another modeling agency.
That's brilliant, though, Harper. I mean, so
awesome.
much of modern storytelling is taking something classic, taking something well-known and loved, and putting a modern spin on it, and that sounds exactly what that is.
It was called Ella and the New Job.
There you go. Yeah,
I like
so it was. Go ahead, Patrick. Sorry.
I was just gonna say I like the name she picks. I like how it's different for me, anyways. I mean, maybe you're like that's not different, but I don't know. To me, it's a different name. And for the two characters I've heard you mention so far, I just saw because I remember that when your dad posted a picture of a map that was based off of the village of Grove. And he was super pumped in what Dad wanted to be. And I'm looking at him like, this is so cool. There was this video game I played. It's called Ragnarok. It was this 2D, kind of like Pokemon online. I think it was Japanese-based. It was Asian-based game. And it was just neat villages like this. It was fantasy. You could, fight characters, bad guys, collect weapons. And this map is reminding me of that, and I want to play a game in that world.
When I was really like little, like in kindergarten, my dad got me a fairy tale book that was actually the Grimm's Tales, like the Grimm Brothers tales,
The
and
real
we
one.
didn't know.
The real one, yeah.
Oh,
It was like an 80s one.
It was a Lego.
No,
it was Lego one.
Oh, you're right.
It
The
was-
Lego version
Yeah,
was
it was the Lego
actually
version.
pretty accurate.
And it was pretty cool.
Whoa,
but like,
what?
and so
Yeah.
all my friends were like doing these out of like little fairy tale books that they find in the classroom, and I was doing it based off of like actual like the Grimm tale. And so like how the tree that was planted that's supposed to symbolize her mother in the Cinderella book, that was supposed to symbolize that's what the earrings are. Those are because they're like good luck for her.
Very cool. Very
I'm-
fancy.
And then her boss is like a fairy godmother because she lends her just the right amount of money to get her favorite, like the most pretty dress and stuff to go to her party. And that's like her fairy godmother, which is also kind of like the tree in a way, because that's, I don't know. It was like a mix of like the fairy godmother one and then like the Grimm tale, because like, and then it was adapted.
Very cool.
So it was really fun to make.
Yeah, it was lots of fun doing a lot of the stuff.
I
Like the
have it
artwork
upstairs.
actually came together incredibly well. We got some fantastic artists. And Harper did a lot with the art. Like, I would help with the art brief and write it out. And then every single piece of art in that book was approved by Harper. Every
It
piece.
took a couple of tries to get my character right.
It did
That's
take
awesome.
a couple tries to get your
So-
character. Because she got a haircut during the whole process, and she got the side shave. And so I forgot to tell the artist. So the artist was super excited when I asked her to redo the face, the hair after it was finished. But she did it. Anna was awesome. That was one of the ladies. Anna Landon did it. But it's fun because Harper actually. So like the other stuff that I write and do is more horror based, of course. Like the Whispers RPG, and then the Devil's City, which Sarah and I did, and then even John's book, Blood and Brimstone. And Harper always still sees my art. Even the art in Blood and Brimstone. Even
I
the
like
art,
the creepy art.
even the art in
the
the Devil's City. So far.
Isn't it Devil's Cities where I helped him pick and where I helped you pick out which the hand that was on fire with the teacup?
Yes. From Francois in the beginning, I know that's pretty scary actually, but
Good call, Harper.
The spider guy,
yeah.
And I was really.
That was Don Noble. Don Noble did that spider
Yeah,
guy. One of the spider guys. Oh, Sam. The other
and
one.
Don is amazing.
Don does great work.
For
really
sure.
That watercolor picture on the back, I think it is, where it's like
Daniel.
the guy.
So that's
on the
Daniel
back.
Sarah.
Another amazing artist.
She loves Daniel. So yeah, I've got a couple pieces from Daniel.
I love watercolor. It's so pretty.
Yeah, she's
Can I show you guys my tattoo real quick? Audio listeners won't. It does go along with this. It's watercolor. Audio listeners won't.
Oh no.
See this. No, it's nothing inappropriate. I promise. Can you see this? Hold up.
Oh, that's cool. The bear.
Yeah. So, see how the bear has a heart in it?
Yeah.
Yep.
That was the 1-year anniversary of me and my wife's wedding anniversary. I'm her honey bear. She's my honeybee. Don't care how cliche that sounds, but I got a bear that represented me, which is just a bear that looks like he wants to be Winnie the Pooh and not hurt anyone and just eat honey and have a big heart on his chest. So moving on to one picture that is so cool, and I don't know if you guys went to do this, but I see Harper signing her hardback copies, and she's wearing the same dress that she's wearing now, which is very cool.
Pretty much, she is actually.
Wait, what?
The mom's friend. Remember when your mom's friend? You've got the overalls in the Harper the Brave.
What?
You don't remember the picture that you signed 200 times?
The picture that I signed?
Yeah.
Oh.
She signed
200 times.
She can't keep it straight. Honestly, it's just like
so many fans.
It's you can't be expected to know the details.
I got this this year, but
it is the same outfit though. It's denim.
Practically the same.
It is.
I mean, it's not really overalls because you don't wear something under it.
But it looks like overalls.
It looks like overalls.
Yeah, it looks like overalls.
Wait, you have more than one of those?
Huh? You know what we have? We outgrow them.
I outgrow my overalls very quickly.
That's hilarious.
After a year, they're out.
Yeah, bad news, Patrick. Your 9-month-old is going to get bigger.
I hope my 9-month-old
is already 8. My shoe size is already women's 8.
She's on.
Wow.
And Lily's is 10s.
Dude, I hope my kid turns out like her. She's so friggin'. You're so cool, Harper. Like you just said, you're like, I like creepy stuff. Your dad gets you a series of Grimm books for when you're that young. Like that is so cool. Like
most of the stories I couldn't go through, and I almost brought it in for show and tell one time, but I showed it to my dad right before, so we didn't bring it in.
That's probably good.
But so most of them I couldn't read, but I did read the Cinderella. The part where they cut off their ankles and stuff is kind of creepy. Like the stepsisters, they cut off their toes and ankles to fit in the
shoe. Oh yeah.
Yeah, a lot of the Disney adapted films, they're like Beauty and the Beast. Beauty and the Beast was written, I think, in the 1700s, and it's horror. Like Disney adopted. I don't think people realize that. That is the horror genre, which is why it's the best genre ever. Disney's horror.
They sanitized them pretty big. Yeah, pretty badly.
Snow White and Aurora were also pretty adapted. And then there was also Pocahontas, because that was based off of a real story.
Yeah, that wasn't a very cheerful story. Not
based off of the America I know with how natives are treated still, I'd say that's a pretty accurate statement, Matt.
Fits into that, semi-horror genre.
Yeah.
So
So
basically, I think they took her as like a 10-year-old. I think.
She was young.
No, she was like 13, maybe.
She was 12, but yeah, maybe.
I thought, maybe 12.
She was young.
But
Too
they
young.
took her into like England or something, and got her married so that they could tell everybody that they tamed the savages or whatever. And it was messed up.
That is messed up.
I hear a lot of like I heard a lot of the real stories on like line and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Harper's smarter than a lot of adults I know.
It's kind of crazy.
I'm not joking.
I feel like the kids, all the kids seem to know there's definitely certain things they're much more aware of than I was or we were when we were that age. And much more, maybe worldly. Maybe that's the right way to say it. They're definitely more worldly and less naive about a lot of things, which is good and bad, I guess. But
yep.
They definitely know more.
It's nice to think, at least, or hope that they're going to be more sympathetic towards a lot of things that I wasn't aware of as a kid, as far as different types of sexes or LGBTQ plus community. I didn't know much about that growing up.
I didn't know that until last year.
But wait,
I think it might have been first grade, but me and Avery both found it out through a art app called PixArt. And it was like where you would edit art pieces, and then once Pride Month came along, we saw these things and we're like, what's this? And then we started looking it up.
Well, that's kind of the point of it, actually.
Yeah, that gives me hope, and it makes me hope that my little boy ends up, curious about that stuff, and maybe it shouldn't even be a question when the time he's your age, and I hope it isn't. But Pride Month is pretty awesome. I don't know if you guys been to a parade in St. Louis, but
I always wanted to go to watch one of the parades. You
didn't go last year?
No, we didn't go.
Oh, we couldn't have, obviously, the last 2 years, because obviously this year was the thing, the plague, and then last year we were in the hospital. Yeah. Or you weren't allowed to go to parades and stuff. I thought Lily went the year before, maybe.
No, Lily's never went.
She hasn't gone.
We've never went.
Oh, I thought she did.
The only time I've gone was in Providence, and I was so moved that I pretty much cried tears of joy. It was everyone's happy, everyone's there for the right reason. There were no jerks that I saw. The only incident was a friend of a friend got too drunk that she was standing up wobbling next to my wife, and my wife's like, you gotta sit down, drink water. She's like, oh, I'm okay. And then her glasses were all askew on her face. But we're getting off track here. Let's go back to Harper.
And that's the worst thing that happens. Yeah, you know what? I want to point out, I have two kind of takeaways as far as, we're going back 10 minutes now, but as far as the plot and the gameplay of Harper's Tale. And the first is with the whole idea of there is a disease running rampant through the forest, and it's your job to not only stop it, but to figure it out. Do I have that right, or am I messing it up?
No, that's it. Yeah, you need to stop it and figure it out.
Lily, my sister, is supposed to be one of the nurses. Her name's Grace in the book, and my name's Rose in the book, and because those are our middle names. And so doesn't she stay back and take care of all the people?
Yeah.
Because Lily wants to be a nurse or a doctor when she grows up. She wants to be someone that works
she does not want to be a doctor. She doesn't want to be a doctor. So she doesn't want to be a doctor or a pharmacist, because I'm a pharmacist. My ex is a pharmacist. My girlfriend's a physician. And Lynn's like, no, but I'll be a nurse. She's like, I have no interest in being any of the others, but I will totally be a nurse.
She wants to be a
pediatric
oncology nurse.
At children.
That's a calling,
She's got a very specific career path she would like to do, which I couldn't be prouder of.
She also refuses to call the Children's Specialty Care Clinic thingamajig CSCC. She refuses to say the last C. She says CSC and not CSCC when that's it.
I wanted to play third base for the Red Sox when I was that age, but
I wanted to be. I wanted to be on the Boston Celtics to be the next Larry Bird, man.
I want to be a chef.
Yeah.
Aw.
Yeah.
She cooks.
I want to run a restaurant, but I don't want to go to culinary school, because I want to go kind of to business school, because I want to go to school with my friend Avery.
So what do you want to what do you like to cook?
A lot of stuff. I just don't like to bake because baking's boring.
Well-
You have to do measurements.
Yeah, give Patrick 2 examples.
I like to cook. Like I cook a lot of like. Sometimes I cook like steak or chicken. I've cooked this really good chicken where basically it's like stuffed with mozzarella, and then there's this ricotta sauce on top, and then you serve it with Brussels sprouts and spinach, and it's super good.
Ooh,
That does sound good.
yeah, that
We're
does sound good.
making, she's been making sushi rice this week.
Yeah, it's
He went through like a bag of sushi rice in 3 days. So we've had rice with every meal.
Do you guys have the sweet potato roll sushi? What's it called? I forget the name of it. It's just like sweet potato little pieces in a sushi roll.
Oh, we haven't had that. I don't know. Maybe that might be good.
I'm not the biggest fan of sweet potatoes.
So in the hospital, though, there's sushi places because it's downtown or it's in one of the areas of the city of St. Louis. And
I also got lobster one night and ate so much I threw up.
yes.
And my mom had to catch it in her hands.
Ew,
Oh,
But we explored DoorDash a lot at the hospital because the hospital would give you food 24/7, and it was not that bad, but her taste buds are so weird, especially
Also,
then, and they still are.
They
to a
had
point.
like
but-
gluten-free, everything-free pasta, and it was disgusting.
The chef knows what she wants.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the hospital pasta wasn't that good, but yeah, no, but there's a great sushi place like right down the street. So yeah, lots
got
of money spent on
Somebody
takeout.
gave us $100 gift card to that sushi place. One
Yep.
of your friends.
Yeah, it's my friends. Yep.
We went to this place called Evangeline's, and that's where I found my love for crab legs.
Yep.
oh
Nice.
yes, I love
Snow crab legs.
Yes, they are
Or
the
king
best.
crab legs.
Actually, no, were they king crab?
No,
or-
they were snow
I
crab.
thought they were snow crab.
I got like a blue
like king
crab
crab,
bisque
too.
at first, but it was really gross. But it came with a single crab leg, so I ate the crab leg, and it was really good. So then for dessert, instead of getting like cake like my sister did, I got crab legs.
She
I
has
had
divine,
funny-
she has divine taste. Grimm Brothers and crab legs.
Crab
I
legs
do
for
wish
dessert.
my kids would eat as diversely as you.
Yeah, they've been eating sushi since
Well,
they
I'm-
were a year old.
Well,
each one of
actually,
them.
I'm pretty
Wow.
picky. I'm pretty
She's
picky of an
kidding.
eater.
Sometimes, but you are adventurous. I think that's what
I'm
it is.
adventurous.
Yes.
I've tried
Yes.
snails before.
Oh my gosh, so good.
I was really I was like 4 or 5, so I don't
Probably.
remember how they taste, but I knew I didn't like them. But we're going on a trip once I finish. I'm pretty sure
Yes, ma'am.
to around like Europe and stuff. And once we go to Paris, and when we go to Paris, I'm gonna try some more escargot.
Cool.
Oh,
yeah. So with Harper's Tale, everybody worked either for free or at a discount, and or gave like part of their pay or whatever you want to call it to Friends of Kids with Cancer.
Nice.
And I donated all of my time to do all these stuff that I did with it. And we donated. So we had an Indiegogo fund because Kickstarter doesn't let you do non-profit charities. Boo Kickstarter. But we did the IGG, and I think we raised, I don't know, 23 grand or something like that. We wrote them a check and for about 10 grand. And then we also printed 170 books or so, which we gave them. And then they gave me back some to sell as an additional fundraiser, which you guys probably saw that, I'm sure. So we have some very, very fun, very nice people in the RPG nerd community that are very, very influential. And 3 of them actually saw it and retweeted it. Matt Mercer, Liam O'Brien, and Felicia Day. And like Felicia Day is from like Supernatural, is what I remember because she was Charlie.
Oh, wait,
Felicia Day has
real
been on
quick.
a lot of stuff. but-
Felicia Day, the first time I saw her, I think you'd appreciate this, Matt. Sorry to interrupt, but the first show I saw her on was on a web series called The Guild. Have you seen that?
Yes, it's on Netflix.
Will Wheaton's on that, dude.
Yep.
That is such a good show. I don't hear anyone talking about that.
She was so sweet. She like tweeted it and then commented a couple times about it. And I mean, we sold 100
She's
copies
nice.
in 6 hours.
Wow.
Which for a $45 book is not super easy to do. I was thinking I was going to have those books on my basement for 2 years. So it was really nice to have those, get it, and write another check to Friends of Kids. And so I think all said and done, we gave them about, I'm trying to figure out if it was $10,000 or $12,000 in cash.
That's
and of
amazing.
course the books and all that stuff too. So they were super excited. They are such a great local organization too. And it was fun. It was a good thing. Yes,
For
ma'am.
Pedal the Cause this year, I really want to get into like the $1,500 range, whereas like the $1,200 range right now.
Why?
Because it gets you like super cool stuff.
You've got stuff.
No, I want to
So
get
we do. So we do Friends of Kids with Cancer, who's local to here, and they literally do kind of what it sounds like. And they they give kids stuff like toys and all that stuff. They help families too, like gas and groceries and that sort of
They
stuff
have
when
a
they need
toy miniature warehouse.
But we also do a lot with Pedal the Cause, which is another local charity, but they are 100% research based, or they are completely funded by Edward Jones. And but we do
30% of all the money goes to child cancer research, and then the rest of it goes to just regular cancer.
I know. And the first time I said that, I'm like, well, that's not good. It should be 50-50, but I didn't realize it at the time, and I should, considering what I do. But most research organizations, actually, the pediatrics only gets 10-ish, teens percentage. And Pedal's actually generated, do you remember how much money? It's like 300 million or something like that.
A lot.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's like, it's big kid money is like kind of it's like 9 figures in research money, and they've actually funded research that saves lives regularly.
They said it at the kickoff Zoom.
I know, but so we do stuff for them too, but that's something else. And that's what she wants. She wants to get enough money to get some really cool socks, actually, is what it is.
Some cool. Sure. Wait, what are on these socks? I gotta know.
That's what it is. She gets socks if we hit it, and I think we got a grant from my company, so I think she'll be fine.
What is it about these socks though?
No, it's not socks. You get
They're
like
cool.
a party at Fitz's, and like you get you get rock and jump or sky jump or whatever. You get that like a pass, a party or something, and then you get like all these, and then you get all this cool stuff. But I really want to get to the 1,500 stuff.
So as you can see, this is how she's probably going to talk to the lady over there and take money from mine and put it into her account.
No,
because Stacy, she would do that for Harper, because everybody knows Harper. Harper was like their ambassador last year. As you can tell, she's super shy, and so
she's very shy. Yes,
does
not like talking about herself at all.
But before we started recording, she wasn't talking much, and now she's like, "Dad, stop."
It is your second. Yeah, she's also with the lymphoma.
Leukemia Lymphoma Society.
That's this year.
LLS.
So, okay. Yeah, she's a celebrity.
Dad, you know that
it's super busy apparently.
She is busy.
We found this super cool grocery store right by us, and it's an Asian grocery store.
Oh yeah, the Chinese market.
They had, while you would walk out, they had one of the quarter LLS things.
Oh, did they?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see that.
So you guys said, just real quick before I forget, because I just saw this new show with Zac Efron. It's pretty cool, actually. It's called Down to Earth.
Oh my gosh. My mom is obsessed with it.
For those that don't know what it is, it's a show where Zac Efron is actually trying to make a conscious effort in being a better person. And he goes to different countries, learns different things, and one of them is when he goes to France, he finds out in Paris they have free water, like actual good. It's crazy how much is involved with what is actually pure water, and not like the pure, quote unquote, I'm doing air quotes, pure water in the stores, which takes out the minerals. Like actual, I shouldn't have said pure water in the first place, actual good water that's meant to be curing in some cases for your body. But pertaining to you guys, in Paris, they got, I think it's in the hundreds, they got an app where this one company has free water for everyone. They got little distribution, they got these little places for your bottle, or if you just want to put your mouth under the faucet. They also have other areas where they have bubbled water, and it's all for free. They want every single person in that city, homeless, not homeless, whatever, to have free water. And it's amazing. Like, that's how the world should be. Why are we bottling water? and causing a insane amount of pollution of this one-time use plastic. It's just, I'm going on a tangent, but I hope that you guys run into that because there's a lot of cool things in Paris that I learned from that show.
That is cool.
I
We'll
saw
have to check that out.
This person came to my school one time, and he was talking about just like to use the drinking fountains instead of bottled water because it takes out all the minerals and all the good stuff out of the water. And
Yeah.
also like juices with like 100% juice, those bottled juices like apple juices and stuff, they take out all the like good stuff and all the
and then they just shoot
sugar in it to
Yeah,
it.
Straight sugar. Yep.
It's all sugar. Sugar.
Yeah, I saw this one video that kind of relates to that, where this mom was like, "This is how Americans make tea," and she had a
I saw that with
full
like
of
Tang and stuff.
I'm thinking is like, I'm not
Tang and
giving.
instant tea.
Yeah, my son. If I was, look, I know we're all different. We raise our kids differently. My kid ain't having that. He's not gonna get diabetes from one drink. That's what you're doing, lady.
Yeah.
Oh, Patrick, that's so easy to say when he's a baby.
That's true. I'm a very judgmental, jerky parent. I'm new at this gig. Harper, Matt, I apologize. You guys go ahead. Talk away, please. I'm sorry for interrupting.
No, she wanted me to give her your addresses, and
No,
I said we
I'm
can
not
do that off
saying
air.
that. I didn't
No,
say that.
Do it on the air for people that might not like me, so they can
I
come to my home.
They live in a different time than this. It's a little later there. I can tell you more specifically.
Okay, I like tea, and I get peach tea and
Yes.
or like passion flower tea, and then I add like honey into it. Like I have this really good honey that my grandma gave me, and it's by these local people that she knows that are honey farmers and stuff. That's why I didn't want you to use it on your stupid ham.
What? You made it.
Oh,
Yeah.
so
She's only got this much attitude.
I gave him the Schnucks the cheap honey.
Yeah.
But the honey that I use in my tea is super good. And my sister doesn't even like honey, and she says it tastes like bee barf, but I don't care.
It is bee barf.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, it actually does taste like it.
Well, then bee barf must taste good.
Exactly, it tastes like honey.
And it works just brilliantly in tea. So I mean, there we are, full circle.
So, considering that we avoided the base question that we asked first-time guests is what got you into horror, I'd like to phrase it this way, and I'm being presumptuous with this with Harper, because I know Matt's answer is he does like horror, obviously. But Harper, do you like horror? And if so, what?
Horror.
Oh, I say it very weird. I have a strange accent from an unknown land called Boston, I think.
And then it got New Jerseyized, and it's a mess.
Yeah, like my voice is like, I don't know what I'm doing. Words are coming out.
It depends on like what horror stuff, because like I sometimes like creepy stuff, but I don't really like horror stuff.
It kind of depends, right?
It depends.
Like Stranger Things. You like
Stranger Things.
You love season 1.
I loved season
1 is fantastic.
Season 2, it got a little bad.
I don't even remember. You've watched more seasons than I have.
And I watched like 3 episodes, but like it was just good.
So like kind of
like, why did he lock Elle in his house?
He was hiding her.
I know, but like,
so you know.
I don't like the Russian people.
Who likes the Russians?
Well, at the moment, we have no Russian listeners, and we're guaranteeing that we won't have any in the future.
Anyway, it wasn't actually the Russians. It was actually the U.S. government. I think that was like
no, they were the Russian scientists.
We do have fans in Germany and France, so please watch what you say about those countries. Okay.
I'm not saying any Russian.
So it's cool.
I'm talking about the Russian guy in Stranger Things.
In Stranger Things.
He's just like he claims that he's Eleven's dad, and Eleven calls him her dad, but like
I don't know.
He took her from her mom when she was a baby.
Is there another creepy? Okay, so we've already established you like the first episode of Jordan Peele's Twilight Zone a lot because that was
I liked
off air we did
the second one. So you like Twilight Zone? The new Twilight Zones were good.
Yeah.
I need to get you to watch some of the old ones, but you probably won't because they're black and white. But
wait,
I don't like black and white shows. I love Addams Family.
Oh, the Addams Family.
Oh yeah.
What about the Monsters?
Beetlejuice. Oh my gosh,
Nightmare Before
Oh my
Christmas
gosh.
or Nightmare Before Halloween?
That's great. But like when I just said Beetlejuice, I just like thought in my
Oh my
mind,
gosh.
yes.
You're funny.
So we've got the Addams Family, we've got Beetlejuice, we've got Stranger Things, we've got the absolutely horrifying elements of some of the like classic fairy tales. Harper, I think that's a yes, whether you know it or not.
I growing into it. I did not like them that much when I was young at all.
I liked that Halloween Town, I think it's what it's called.
Oh, Halloween
With
Town?
Doug
Oh,
Cameron,
yes.
and you would get the stamp on your hand, and then you'd turn into a clown.
That's the Disney. Some of the Disney scary Halloween ones. I'm trying to get them to watch Goosebumps, but
I watched the first Goosebumps.
I think that one had a bunch of that had the doll in it, I think.
If
I
Rich
don't
Dunk-
no,
that
the
didn't
second
work.
one had the doll in it too. The second one isn't that scary.
No.
I've watched most of it.
If Rich Duncan's listening to this, I bet he's going, Harper! Because he loves Goosebumps.
Oh, apparently your Rich Duncan sounds like Nixon too. That's
I mean, the Goosebumps books must not be that scary because my teacher gets them for the kids in our class.
Yep.
There's 1,000 of them. Yeah.
They're a gateway. They're a nice little gateway. I probably read them when I was your age, when I was sitting in a 4th grade classroom, definitely reading away Goosebumps, and I've got them over on the shelf. My 8-year-old, my 10-year-old read them now. So they are. Could we call them timeless?
There's this really good book that's like a graveyard book, or like it's a graphic novel, and it's based off of this girl who gets into a car crash, and her dad's a mad scientist. And so she basically was gonna die, but then her dad comes up with this like thing, basically where he takes the life out of somebody else and gives it into her, and then that makes her live 13 more years. And they lived in a like a graveyard kind of like sealed off underground bunker thing, right by a boarding school. And they try. And it's been 13 years, and these new girls come to the classes in the boarding school, and one of them was about to get taken, taken to him, and was about to get like killed, and then but the girl convinces her dad to like just not do it, and then she ends up dying.
So,
you know the name of it?
So with the graphic novels, so horror. So she read a little bit of The Old Ones and the Sea, which is a really, really cute like.
I was going to suggest that.
Book. We also The Old One and the Sea. You remember that one? Maybe not.
Oh yeah, I do.
And then there's also another one, Herbert West. It's a Herbert West. It's not Reanimator, but it's a Herbert West cartoon, like graphic novel comic. And we were reading it together, and Harper just told me how much she just loved the art. And so I looked.
Which was it?
Thomas did it.
Oh, yeah. That one with the zombies?
Yes. And so I looked at the artist. The artist is Thomas Boatwright.
I loved that art. It was so cool.
And I reached out to Thomas because I was doing the Devil City. Thomas did the cover. So the cover of the Devil City is actually from a comic book artist that does the Herbert West and the H.P. Lovecraft comics, like some of them.
Oh, okay.
And then actually Thomas has done a bunch of work for me. He's fantastic. He's really, really talented and really easy to work with. But again, we kind of, that's the thing that we've liked a lot is the art, and that even if she doesn't necessarily like the content or isn't ready for the content of some of the things that I write, she's good with the art. I mean, she actually even helped me with my Asylum book with a lot of the art I put in.
Yeah, I love all like the Suicide Squads and like the Harley Quinn. I really like Harley Quinn.
Yep.
She's like my favorite out of the DC characters. And like I really like her backstory on how she's like she worked in an asylum and then she like became crazy and then by falling in love with the Joker. And I kind of like it was like a really cool, and I really want to watch Birds of Prey.
We'll see.
Because
it came out on HBO like 2 days ago.
The Joker's like the worst boyfriend ever.
He's not really in it.
I know. No, she dumps him.
I know.
He dumps her. But...
Isn't she going to go with Poison Ivy?
No, Poison Ivy isn't in it. It's the Birds of Prey characters.
Yeah. Well, that's good. He seems like he'd be a terrible boyfriend.
Yeah.
Of the two of us, of me and Brennan,
Poison
I'm
Ivy.
clearly the more into superheroes. I'm only for those that don't get the reference. I'm only kidding. Brendan is obsessed with them. I'm a big fan too. But do you guys like the Marvel, the MCU? Do you guys watch any of
We've
those movies?
watched most of them, so the Marvel ones. So we've watched most of them, but we don't. I just
I've
don't watch
watched
TV hardly ever anymore.
Endgame. Well, not Endgame.
Infinity War? Did you watch it?
Infinity War.
You
I
watched-
watched it with you. And
We
then-
haven't seen the last one. We've seen the next.
I
to
haven't
last
seen
one.
Endgame. I've heard
You
who
should
dies.
watch it because it's on Disney.
I've heard who dies, but
Everybody has.
Endgame to me wrapped up everything phenomenal.
I've not heard a bad thing about it. All like a lot of my
It's
friends.
great.
I don't know.
Powerful.
Especially how interconnected they all are. I mean, there's what 20 movies or something like that.
Over
And the storyline's very connected.
all of the boys in my class were like, "Oh my god, Endgame was so good," and then they just spoiled it.
No. That's
Boys-
no good.
Yeah, boys are the worst.
They spoil everything. Yeah, no, I won't talk about this for long because I absolutely could. Patrick is absolutely right, but I feel like they did a special thing with those movies, spanning them over, the course of like 12 years, interconnecting all those threads. And I mean, I found with Endgame, like there were plot holes, there were problems with the way they executed everything, but you didn't care necessarily as much as you might with another movie with the same problems, because you were so invested in the characters' journeys. You're willing to suspend disbelief in certain portions. You're willing to overlook certain things because a character you've followed for the last 10 years has a satisfactory conclusion. You're happy with the way their thread wrapped up.
Right.
I hate that the green girl, whatever her name is,
Gamora.
I hate that Thanos killed Gamora, the only person he loved, to get one of those crystals.
It was his daughter.
I know.
Yes. Actually, Thanos loves death. Yeah.
Deep cut there. Okay.
How
Yep.
would he feel that?
Exactly.
How would he just be like, "Oh, yoo-hoo, Grim Reaper"?
That sounds so unfilmable that they would change it for the movies.
So Matt, what got you into horror? we're only almost 50 minutes in, and I feel like we should ask that before we end at some point.
It's funny, and like from a reading and just in general, I think it's a natural progression of stuff. Like I used to love fantasy and science fiction stuff, fiction in general, and as I got older and experienced more things, good things, bad things, my tastes kind of switched and moved and migrated to something that's much more in some cases it's weird because sometimes you feel like with a horror movie, I mean there could be monsters everywhere, supernatural, whatever, but in some ways it's more realistic, it's more honest with how it treats the reader and how it treats the characters in it. It's not always a happy ending. And that really is what it is, and that's with my games, what I write, and even Harper's Tale. Actually, it's investigation. That's fun, is learning and investigating, and I think that chillers, suspense, horrors, I think those are all actually very, very similar genres, and you can go back and forth between them pretty easily. I mean, Laird is doing like noir now, and I mean, just everybody's moving all over the place because there's so much overlap, and they're finding that everybody, I mean, even YA, young adult readers are much more sophisticated than we really gave them credit for. It's a genre that didn't exist 20 years ago. And then when it did exist, we thought they were 10-year-olds. And,
right.
I just read Haunted, which is fantastic horror, like Haunted. It's a haunted house story. And yes, there's like kind of teen angsty, teen relationship stuff in it because it's a high school. But it's not over the top. It's very good. And the horror stuff in it and the haunted house stuff in it is like some of the grimmest stuff that I've ever read. And this is in a YA book. But really, again, to me, it's more. It challenges me as a reader and just as a person, and especially as a writer, to get myself into that headspace sometimes. And it makes it just more interesting. Like Crossroads, which I'm sure you guys have probably read already. That Laurel wrote, Hightower, which, for me, that's probably one of the best novellas of the year. And I'm saying that as somebody who's publishing a novella this year that I would also really like. Laurel did something special there, and I wrote the review finally, and I even told her this the other day. It's like that book is not for a lot of people. But if that's a book or that's the type of book you like to read, or if that's a book you can get yourself through, I mean, she put her heart and soul in that book, and I don't know that I read anything more honest. At least it felt like it was honest to me. I mean, if that's not honest, she's the best actress in the world.
Yeah.
And I already know she's a very, very good and very talented writer. But again, that's a book that there's nothing. I mean, it's not happy, but it's fantastic. And it even reminded me of S.P. Miskowski, who her Skaloot books are pretty grim. They're also some of the best books I've ever read, and I love them. And I have to do it in pieces. I even told Laurel that I'd message her. I'm like, all right, well, I managed 2 chapters today. I'm going to try to read 4 tomorrow. A book that short, it still took me about a week to get through it because of how I did it. But again, it kept challenging me. It kept making me face things that other books that I read really, really didn't. Especially stuff that I read even 15 years ago.
My favorite book is the City of Ember books. Those are the best.
Those are good.
They take me a week to finish each, but there's 4 of them. And basically it's about these people who... What, Lily?
You want to be on a podcast?
Oh!
I have another daughter. She just doesn't like to be on camera.
I was so confused.
Okay, well, we're in the middle of it. If you want to be in, you can. But if you don't, okay.
I was trying.
Okay. All right, sweetie. We'll see you.
Bye, Lily.
That's about the 3rd or 4th time that's happened where she's popped in, said, no, I don't want to be on camera, and popped back out.
No. See, Harper, I would say that even fits into horror as well, because if my memory serves, like that's it's like a town or a city, city because it's called City, and there's just like horrifying darkness surrounding it on all sides.
Yeah,
like what's scarier than that?
So
Very
basically,
dystopian.
it's supposed to be in the far, far future where humanity overpopulates like a lot. So they send around this war, these plagues, and basically only the survivors were the last people of human, and they put 200 people into an underground city. And they were told that, and they each had a kid. They each were given a child. And they were told to never tell their child about the outside world or anything. And basically, they thought the sky was black, and if the generator ever stopped working, then they would be in complete darkness forever. And then basically at the end, it had been after 400 years, or I mean not 400, 200 years. There were 400 of them. 200 years, and basically a box clicked open, but it had been like 240 years. And basically, after 200 years, they were supposed to open this box, and then they would have instructions on how to get out of the city. But the box was lost.
You don't have to tell the story.
And then they had to escape, and then they had to rebuild civilization, and it was super cool.
Yep, you did
Major league spoilers for book 1, by the way. That's okay. That book's been out a long time.
You cut it down, and then she said,
Yeah.
But only the first book was kind of boring, and I didn't know if I was gonna like it because my class was reading it, and and I really wasn't paying attention, and so I really didn't know if I was gonna like it. But the second book was really good, and then there was a third book which was super good too, and it was before all this plagues and stuff, and then there was the 4th book, which was an adventure.
Mm-hmm.
and so it was just really cool.
That is pretty cool. Matt, just because you said we got an hour, we could talk however long. Okay. I would kick myself in the pants if at no point we talked about your book that you're publishing. So I don't know if we can get you and Taff on before it comes out. So I want to cover at least a little bit here. Whatever you want to tell us about, let us know.
Yeah, so John F.D. Taff, and I kind of started communicating on Twitter actually about a year and a half ago, I guess. No, about a year ago. when The Fearing came out, the four serialized novels, or novellas, I guess, which were so good. And I'm reading them and enjoying them, and I'm just telling them I'm reading them and enjoying them just on Twitter. And it's such a wonderful, the horror community is so small, especially the indie portion, that if you write down yeah, I really liked your book, you're gonna get a comment. Somebody's gonna be like, "Thank you, I appreciate that," especially if you write a review. That's like gold. So all of you out there, write reviews, please, even if it's not for me, or even if it's not that good, but just write reviews. We love them. But anyway, so I kind of reached out to John about eventually somehow kind of moving the Fearing universe into a game of some sort, into an RPG. And that was when I was finishing up Harper's book, and I don't know, doing 2 or 3 other books at the time. And we did a few things, emails, and then we kind of fell off for a little bit while Sarah and I did the Devil City. And then I did horror in the Windy City to build up that RPG stuff. And we ended up talking again, though, and John was all in. And as soon as I kind of asked him about it, he's like, well, let me think about it. And then I think it got a few wheels turning in his head. And he's like, you know what, I really want to go back to that. And I had requested maybe do something that's in the same timeline. Something that takes place within those 4 books that we've already all read, but off to the side. Because we were talking about it, again, from a game perspective. If we were to do a game, what we'd want to do is we would want to do something that is a story that's parallel, something that maybe tangents or maybe comes in eventually, but it could be a parallel story. And that's where he ended up starting with Blood and Brimstone. And so Blood and Brimstone tells the story of Tam and Jacoby, who we meet in the 3rd book and really get to know much better in the 3rd and 4th book. And they definitely become kind of a focal point towards the end of the story. And in this novella that we're doing, it basically starts from their story from scratch. You see when they meet each other, and you see the things that get them to the place kind of mentally and emotionally and kind of psychically, kind of what gets them there and kind of what creates the characters that you meet in the 3rd Fearing book. I haven't gotten anybody to read them 1, 2, Blood and Brimstone, 3, 4 yet. I keep trying. So it's definitely meant to be read 1, 2, 3, 4, and then go to the one that we're printing up soon. But you could do it chronologically too, and I think that would work as well. But it really goes into Tam and Jacoby, who are some really, really interesting characters that you kind of love to hate, and that's kind of where we got it off to. And then again, I love art, which I know we've been talking about with stuff with me and Harp, and just all the books I've had, and even Devil City. And I think maybe that's the RPG side of it. I use a lot of art when I'm writing in general anyway, storyboards and whatnot, to just kind of help me see what I'm describing. And John really loved the idea of art and having it. And so that's where we went, and we just started. So in Blood and Brimstone, we have 6 pieces, one of which is kind of a reuse of the cover, but that cover is so good I could not reuse it.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
What pieces?
Pieces of art.
Yeah, but what art?
I'll show it. I've shown it to you. Stefan's pieces. We'll go grab it then.
Where are they?
Where's your copy?
What?
There's a copy in the living room on the banquet table, if you want to grab one. And so we were looking through it, and we were kind of got lucky that Stefan Coitel is the one who does all the art for it. And, Stefan already had these pieces, so he let me use them and just for the book, which was fantastic. Something I tell any RPG person, if you can find existing art that works, it's much cheaper than commissioning a piece. and it worked fine. John made a few adjustments. John picked out all the art with me, and I really.
What are you talking
I think. Oh, I'll show you later, sweetie.
Is it a book?
Yes, it's a book with an orange cover and the demon on the front.
Okay.
And sorry, yeah. I mean, who doesn't send their 9-year-old outside it?
Which orange book with the demon?
Well, go grab the orange book with the demon on the cover, sweetie. You know where it is.
Thank God this is a horror podcast, so people are going to be cool with that, I think.
Yeah.
Hey, she found it.
Of course she did. We got copies. So, yeah. So, if you can see, that's...
Audio listeners, Matt is holding up a book that Harper just gave him, and Matt's flailing his arms around saying, "Ah! It's possessing me, the demon!"
Yeah,
that's cool.
It was fun, and John, kind of adjusted a little bit because he used the art too to help him with some of the scenes. With
It said John F. D. Taft, and
that's who wrote it. Yes, thank you. Yeah, so it was a great process. We had a lot of fun doing it. The Kickstarter starts on September 15th. We're going to keep it kind of simple this time. Obviously, there'll be an ebook option. You can get a soft cover or a hard cover.
This is so cool.
I know it is. It's super
Look,
cool.
it's like a house, but it's got a laser shooting out of it.
Mm-hmm. And the soft covers and hard covers also, I'll be printing them and shipping them out for U.S. backers only. But for those U.S. backers, John's going to sign them too. I'm going to ship him all the books, make him sign them all, and then I'm going to drive to his house and pick them up.
That's cool. It's like a hurry.
I couldn't talk him into mailing them for me. But the other thing we're doing, which I think is really interesting, and I was kind of talking online to a couple people that I didn't realize were over in Europe. Was it Janine, I think, and then Kendall is, I know, or Gavin. With the Kickstarter, we also have an option. I have an overseas printer that are all over the world. So what you do is you spend, and I think it's a $15 code. And what you do for the $15, you get the ebook, but you also get 2 codes. One lets you print a soft cover, and one lets you print a hardcover at cost. Oh, wow. So you get you can get 1 or 2 copies, whatever you want. I don't care. It doesn't matter. But again, you only pay the cost of the printing. And since they're international, the shipping's cheap. I actually shipped one to Kindle Reviews. I shipped Gavin one, and it was cheaper for me to send it to Gavin in England than it was for me to send it to John, who is a couple hundred miles from my house.
Look at this.
So it's very, very nice. I shipped him to Australia.
Oh, the free hugs. Oh, boy.
That's the best. That's like one of my favorites. That is a really
That's a killer part. It's a killer piece of art as well.
Yeah, she loved it. Yeah, Stefan Quaidel did him. He's so good. And of course, Francois Thalencourt did the cover. I've worked with Francois before and hope to again and again and again because he's such a fantastic and professional artist. He's so good.
I know that Todd Kiesling talked very highly about him as well, Francois.
You know, Todd's, I love that book. I don't know. I could talk about Todd and Todd's books too forever.
There's a Ferris wheel, but people are hung on it. Like there's like dead people hung on it.
Very uplifting. Very uplifting.
It is.
Brendan and I should do a recording there.
I will tell you one thing I really enjoyed about it, having been that person who waited for every single installment of The Fearing to come out last year, starting in like June or whenever it was, is I like how, as somebody who read the whole first 4, you could jump right in and appreciate the backstories, but at the same time, somebody who hadn't come across those yet, he approached it in a way where you could pick right up and you weren't lost. Right. You got to kind of explore what was causing all these problems just from a different viewpoint. So realistically, you could read Blood and Brimstone without having read the other ones. Of course, it's going to be, it's the complete picture with all of them, but you do have that ability to just pick up this one.
I think that would be a fun way to see it too, because I know John really wanted to make sure that it did stand on its own. And it's 94, 110. I don't know. I can't remember how many pages it is. I think it's 110 pages, 112. But chronologically, again, I know we always say it kind of takes place, or at least I always say it takes place between 2 and 3. It actually takes place. It starts the same page. I mean, actually, it starts in the first chapter of the first book. Because that's when everything happens. So you could certainly read Blood and Brimstone first and then read the 4 again. So it's really nice that you could do it kind of in any way you want and have a slightly different, I think, a different experience with each one.
That's Absolutely. Pretty cool.
Yeah, the other thing is, going into it, because, Taft puts so much thought into these. He's got that whole, Jungian metaphysical thing going on that is just so much smarter than I can wrap my head around. But at the same time, you can also appreciate all the books from such a, wow, look at that cool thing that just happened point of view. And, not that I thought he was going to do this, but the worry in the back of my head was, oh no, I hope we're not getting the deleted scenes here. But boy, you're not. There are, some of the things that, some of the fears that you encounter in Blood and Brimstone are the worst of the worst, way more, atrocious and especially like the ending. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
over the top, but in the absolute best way. I really enjoyed that.
That's funny. Yeah. So the fearing that the first four, John had to cut those down. That 400 pages or whatever the four of them are together. Actually, he cut them down a lot with Tony at Gray Matter to get them to what they are, and they did a great job. But yeah, no, this was written from scratch about 6 weeks ish, I think. I think it was percolating in his head for a few months once him and I talked about it, and it was fun for me. I read it as chapters came. I'd get a chapter, and a week later I'd get another chapter, and a week later I'd get another one. And it was really, really neat. And I feel like it's definitely an evolution of that whole universe. And like you said, I mean, that's kind of stuff that we're going to eventually be kind of delving into with the game portion of it, is the archetypes and how archetypes are manifested. Honey, if you want to go to bed,
No,
you can.
I want to go.
Harper,
I'm jumping on the.
I know you are, sweetie. Can you sit down, please? She's a little bit slap happy, obviously.
For audio
For
listeners
those of you who
only,
can't see
Harper.
it, my dog has decided to get off the chair and start bouncing on my bed. So, actually,
oh wait, we're in Matt's room.
yeah, we're in my room. That's where my desk is. Yeah, thanks, Harp. I totally lost my train of thought now. But the game. So yeah, the game. We're gonna actually look at the avatars. I really think that's an incredibly interesting aspect to the book, and it's something that drew me to it again from a world building perspective. And there's also even the fearing itself and the metaphysics of the fearing, that balance and what happens when it just gets completely skewed, and again, how the archetypes kind of do that. So that's going to be the fun part, because I'm going to get to write at least a fair amount of that. And then hopefully John will bless it. But that's what we're going to do for the game, or at least that's the game portion of it, which will come out with the next my next Kickstarter after this one.
Nice.
And there's so much to explore there. We've talked about, even adding to the mythos after that. And if John were able to join us tonight, he'd be yelling maps, maps, maps right now.
He wants maps. That's how I teased him into it. I kept showing him the maps of the murder castle. He loved those maps. So I've got to figure out how to get him a map.
He's a brilliant madman, though, because if he had put the Fearing out as a 500-page book last June, it would have been great. Speaking for myself, I'd have done a write-up on it, and then and even if I enjoyed it, I would have moved on to the next thing. But I have spent so much time in the last year writing articles on different, on the different releases, and then the sum up of the whole thing, and then the Blood and Brimstone. I've been writing about this book for a year, trying to sell people on it, and that doesn't happen if you put the whole thing out at once.
I really love the idea of the novella as a series. Yes. I think we were talking to, or who was I talking to? Michael Clark, I think, who's talking about, he wrote his trilogy.
Yep. Mike Clark. Shout out to Mike Clark. What's up, dude? Sorry, go ahead.
And I like the idea of a trilogy. I'm not sure that I have the stamina to write 300,000 words. My RPG books tend to be about 100,000 words each, and I've got a lot of them on the shelf that I'm always kind of working on. So the novella size, for me, I love it. And I really think that a novella size is so digestible for a reader. And most stories you can get in 120 pages, or at least you can get it to the point where there's a natural ending, cliffhanger, or whatever, and then you just go to the next one. I was talking to her, I can't remember if I was talking to Sadie or tweeting somebody about my days of reading super long novels are limited. I just don't have that attention span. But then again, I did read Devil's Creek and Mexican Gothic back to back without slowing down, because again, I found a couple great huge books. But again, I don't know. I love the idea of the serializing, especially the way he did it. Him and Tony did a fantastic job of keeping it out there and keeping the buzz going just long enough to keep going. I think the only thing that kind of, I wonder if it kind of hurt him a little bit with some of the Stokers, though, because nobody knew what to do. Like I did, and I'm a voting member, and I was not quite sure what to do. Like, obviously voted for it, we put it in there, but I'm like, well, is it a novel? Is it 4 novellas? Where do we do this?
Yeah.
But I loved it. I thought it was a great idea.
I could see that, but yeah, I I wouldn't have the experience, but I almost feel like it would be more beneficial to have it continually in the public's eye over winning. Well, yeah, I certainly would like to win the award, but having it nominated, just to have people talking about it for nearly 6 months straight, and good for him too that now he gets to see the omnibus edition put out by Gray Matter.
I'll definitely be excited to get a signed copy of that. And make sure John gives me a signed copy of that too.
I thought that Tony wasn't gonna do that because he was just done with the Farron.
I can't believe he agreed to it. For all we know, John just announced it without Tony's say so, and now he's backed into a corner.
And since
Tony's getting a little extra push here too with ours, so hopefully that'll help them both and get them make that a successful project for him. I really hope so. I'm just really excited for how much John's work, especially, I mean, my God, was that today that he printed? He told us like the 18 million books he's working on, and some big stuff with Tor and all over the place.
Fire, yep.
Very, very cool stuff. I'm very, very happy to see it. But yeah, so the Kickstarter is on the 15th. We're doing it for 22 days. And I know a lot of folks haven't done Kickstarters before. And also print on demand is a little bit scary for some folks. For the folks that are getting or wanting or curious about print on demand, the quality is fantastic. It is how I print my RPG books, and I have had them hand side by side with my printer, who is very good, which you guys will be seeing soon. And there's a couple copies out there. And it's hard to tell the difference. I mean, print on demand nowadays is actually excellent, and the people that do it for me are doing it for huge RPG companies and Chaos and other smaller publishers actually too. So again, we're doing that so you have an easy shipping thing. And the best part about the Kickstarter is the book's done, completely done. The only thing I keep telling John is well, I just need to know how many to order and put my credit card in there. So with a Kickstarter, I know I hate this is first off, you always have to wonder, am I going to actually get my stuff? I know you guys know me, a fair amount of people in the community know me now, and then in the RPG community too. This is not my first Kickstarter, it's my 4th or 5th. I've never been late, despite the things that have been going on in my life, even with Harper and I going through all the stuff that we've gone through. I still get my Kickstarters done on time and my books done on time. Double City was out on time, and this one, when the funds clear, I'll push order before the funds clear, and I'll send you your book when your funds clear, which will be about 3 weeks after. So again, it's going to be really nice that the Kickstarter is going to be done in October, the first week of October, and then I'm going to get the books out. So the PDFs and the ebooks will be out before Halloween. The physical books probably won't be, just because that's how long the bank takes. And I wish I could make it faster in the printer, but you will absolutely have them for Thanksgiving and Christmas. So I'm hoping to have them postmarked by Halloween. So again, you don't have to wait long, which is great. I think that's really the way to go, and I think that other smaller people are doing that when they can.
Okay, so that's pretty awesome.
So Matt, this might be a fairly straightforward answer, but how do you go about narrowing down and deciding who you'd like to work with within the horror community? Yeah,
so that's a good question. So I've done it kind of weird. I just ask. I actually have reached out directly to people. I was going to do submission or do pitches, and I kind of sort of did it and backed off because it was right in the middle of really the most crazy stuff with the pandemic and with a lot of the protests and stuff going on. And so I just pulled out immediately. But what I typically do is I want to work with people whose books I like and whose stories I like. So it's somebody who I read and I am a fan of. That is a very, very important thing to me. And then the next one is to want to work with someone that if I can, I have some sort of relationship, and by that, I mean a friendly twittering and tweeting or whatever it is, on social media or something like that. Just nice, pleasant interactions with them. When I reach out to folks, especially like Sarah did not know me. I am polite, I am brief, and I just say, I give them a little bit of info about me and I leave them alone in case they don't want to. So I think it's kind of funny to me that folks forget to be, polite and professional and courteous online and in DMs and in emails and all that stuff. I kind of joke about it sometimes. I use my name, my full name for everything. It is not hard to find me. I'm in LinkedIn, even my real job and all that stuff. So again, if I've always used my real name, and I've always done that because I treat the people on Twitter and everywhere else like the people I worked with at my day job. And that's how I do it. So, I've reached out with Sarah, built a relationship there, and with John, that helped a lot. And, other folks that I've worked with or I'm going to be working with are, Jess Landry, Gemma Amore, and Laurel. And then we just added S.H. Cooper as well for another book that we're going to do a mosaic novel next year. The four of them are, and then I'm going to do a little bit of the connective tissue to link it together, and it'll be about a prison. It's going to be called Your Own Time, and it's a prison set in the South in the early 1900s, and they each get a novella. So they each have their own story to do, and then I'll kind of do the background narration of the warden that's stuck there through the entire process.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I thought of another horror show that I like.
Okay, what is your last horror story that you like?
It's a murder mystery, awesome classic. Riverdale.
Oh my gosh, Riverdale. I like Riverdale too, actually. Riverdale and Sabrina.
I've never seen an episode, honestly.
I haven't either.
Sabrina, I love it. But yeah, that's really what I look for in somebody is, somebody that's professional, that's courteous, gets their work done, works to spec, all that fun stuff. And it's been interesting lately to do my best to try to talk to and to try to reach out to folks that have different voices than my own. I've actually worked, obviously Sarah is a woman, John's another old white guy like I am, but, it was really important to me. And again, I've talked to V. Castro. I'm going to try to get something for her with her at some point, and a couple other folks too. But there's just so many fantastic authors out there that nobody talks to, nobody really knows about. I finally got my dad reading indie horror. And he gets so thrilled when he sees like Todd, he read Devil's Creek and he wrote a review, and Todd like immediately liked it and tweeted about it and did something on Facebook. And my dad got a huge kick out of it because, Todd liked his review, and, Kevin Lucia was the same way. But anyway, yeah, there's just so many great people out there. That, I'm going to work with the people I like, that I work well with, that work well with me, and support people like that as much as I can. I'm very picky. Give everybody a chance once. And again, I've been a boss for 25 years in my real job. So again, we can all be professional, and if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, and we move forward. I'm sure there's 20 other people waiting in line that probably need a shot too.
That's a great goddamn message. That should be. Sorry to interrupt your train of thought. Just without pointing to one specific example, we are a small tight knit community. There's some shitty people in it, but the thing is to always remember. You just said it. There's like 20 other great people. Like I can name on the top. I'm not gonna, because if I miss someone, there's like 20 amazing publishers or authors. Like you just listed V. Castro, S.H. Cooper, Laurel Hightower, Gemma Moore. Those are all people that me and Brennan personally like. They're all beautiful people and amazing authors. They're all people that we have had or will have on the show. I like your attitude too, that you give someone a shot once, and I'll end my tangent after this. In my 31 years of life, I've noticed that if someone, to 9 out of 10 times, if they do something pretty shitty, they're just saying without saying it, this is me. Don't expect anything less. That 10th time, you might be surprised, but I'm going on a limb to say usually it's 10 out of 10. But there's that one exception.
Well, a couple of people asked me along those lines is how did I get my first pro RPG gig? My first pro RPG gig is a 300-page hardback Kickstarter that made $105,000.
Whoa!
Out of nowhere, and that wasn't for me. I wrote it for and worked on it for someone else who's a very, very well, very well-known RPG publisher in the D&D world, Cobalt Press. And the way I got it was, I answered my emails. I responded to my contract request immediately. I wrote to spec. I communicated. I was just basically a professional, and I worked. And I think that's like you said. I think you make a good first impression, and you might be surprised at where it'll take you from. Because now I have pretty much work with the top two non-Wizards of the Coast D&D professional or publishers whenever as I need or as I want to. And again, it's because there's a lot of people out there, and somebody will give you a shot. But make the best of it, make the most of it.
Yeah, and I think that's why you're starting to get your name out there. I mean, like, look, all three of us have talked for I think a year now, and it's been a pleasurable experience. I mean, you and Sarah's project was pretty interesting, and I don't know, you guys seem to have good feedback on it, and you both are super nice people. And I mean, the way that Brennan and I are getting guests, too many to even have on this year alone, is not because we're rude to anyone. We're just, for anyone listening to this, if you have to learn a lesson, just be nice. Some people need that lesson beat in their head.
Haley Piper did the funniest thing today, and I don't cuss online very often. I cuss in real life, but not online too much. And it was "don't be shitty" was her hashtag. And I'm like, that's the best hashtag ever.
She's
awesome to do. There are some great if somebody does something distasteful or whatever it is, there are 50 people that have a fantastic book or whatever. Again, there are options out there that don't include that person.
Yeah.
It's pretty easy usually. Yes, ma'am.
$105 or $105,000?
What?
You said something about your Kickstarter.
$100,000.
That's what I thought.
Yes.
But when you said $105, I got confused.
She's so tired.
Wait, we have to fact check this. Was it in fact $105?
I believe it was 100. Yeah. Oh my God, Wolf King would have kicked a brick if that Kickstarter at $100. That would not have gotten published.
Matt, I'm boiling down what you said, and oversimplifying it. But what I took away from it was do your job and treat everybody with respect. And I think that's not just for getting on your first RPG book. I really think that's a good motto for pretty much every aspect of life. Do what you need to do and treat everybody around you with respect. And people will call again. People will want to work with you again.
Right. And honestly, that's the way I'm going to get people to work with me. Because, I'll be honest. I mean, I pay pro rates, I pay advances and such for professional writers, and my RPG rates are consistent with pro in that area. But nobody's going to be getting even a four-figure check from a book that hopefully John will, but we're not making tons of money. However, maybe I can do something interesting enough and be easy enough to work with that, maybe, when Laird Barron or even when Brian King or somebody else, I wouldn't mind kind of dipping my toes into an RPG game or into an illustrated novella or into something different. That's easy. I know I can just call him, and in 10 minutes, I'll have an email back probably, and in 2 weeks we will be moving, and that sort of thing. Like Sarah and I's book, actually the book itself, Devil City, we wrote that together. We went back and forth. I did a chapter, she did a chapter, and then I did the diary entries, and then we both split the final chapter. And we wrote that entire book in 5 weeks, maybe. And I think that included editing, which we probably could have done another editing pass, but we went fast. But again, I think that's what it is John and I were talking about, is you just have to be somebody that people want to work with too, because I think it does work both ways. Publishers very, very fast get a bad name. You don't get to, again, you're from the publisher side, if you're working with 10 authors, you have to keep those 10 people right. And you really need to, and you really should anyway. If you're an author, you can, and you kind of mess around or mess up with one publisher, you could probably go to the next one because the publishers don't talk, which I wish they did. But that's another show, right?
I don't know.
I think people that you've... Sorry, go ahead, Pat.
I've heard otherwise. I know Joe Meinhardt. No, I'm being serious. Joe Meinhardt is part of this... I forget what he calls it, but there's 100 publishers that are in this thing where, when a recent publisher dropped out of the game for a little while, they picked up some authors that needed a home for their books. I guess it depends on what publisher we're talking about, though, for like Who Talks to Who.
Yeah.
Right.
Oop. And I was just going to add in that, some of the people that you've worked with, never mind the people that you are on board to work with in the future, with Sarah and with John, like they're very respected in the community. And if they had a good professional experience, which it absolutely sounds like they did from listening to both of them talk about what it was like to write a book with Saturday Morning Scenarios, then other people are going to pick up on that, and that becomes a whole lot easier on your behalf to bring in someone else, bring in kind of a wish list author, I guess, to in on a project.
I was this close to getting Alma and SP. I just couldn't get the timing to work. Like they both, like I sent them a pitch. I'm the publisher that pitches to the authors. I do it backwards. And they both really like the idea of Your Own Time, the prison. It didn't work for either one of them because they were both so tied up with so many different things. But it's really neat to see, again, to tangent a little bit, how accessible a lot of the authors are. It's really, really neat, actually. And it's kind of fun. To be in something in a community that's that tight knit in most cases.
I'm always amazed with the people like Alma or like Paul Tremblay, Josh Mallerman, how you can get them to reply to you. It's like, you're busy. You've got a lot of irons in the fire, and you're a big deal. Like, what are you doing replying to me? I'm not.
I was totally stoked when Paul responded to, I think it was Head Full of Ghosts. My review, like a very easy, not much tweet about it. And it totally made my day. Like you said, it is really, really neat.
Yep.
Absolutely. Just so you know, Matt, this episode will come out the first Monday of September. That is September 7th. That'll be 8 days before the Kickstarter starts, right? September 15th, you said starts?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, but 1 + 8 is not 15, Patrick.
For my birthday.
I know.
Wait, no, it's 8 days.
You said September 1st, didn't you?
No, I
Her
said the
birthday's
first.
the 10th.
Oh, okay. All right.
Ah!
Too many numbers, man. What are you doing?
I know.
So, Matt, before we go to our final question, is there anything that you or Miss Harper want to mention?
I think she's good. Don't you think so, sweetie?
I think I'm good.
Yeah, she's
Toast.
No, I want to play on my computer.
That's not happening. I don't know. I think, I really hope that folks enjoy the book. I hope they find the Kickstarter. I think that's probably the hardest challenge I have with anything is getting eyes on projects. I've been very fortunate with the books that I've done, fiction, RPG, whatnot, to typically be very well received by the folks that get to them. But, I was talking to somebody else the other day, and we're literally talking like a couple hundred books for me is a successful book. Mm-hmm. Whereas a bigger publisher throws that many at reviewers, actually probably throws 10 times that at reviewers. And I like it's a big deal. And I think that's the thing too, is how small we are, is that every single fan counts, every single eye counts. So you know what? Retweeting and social media, all that stuff makes actually a big deal. And I really do appreciate it every single time somebody retweets something. We had that crazy, her book went viral and had about 600,000 views.
Wow.
With the craziest thing, it was like 150,000 impressions. So like 1 in 4 person actually like clicked on it, like looked at the tweet itself and actually did stuff.
Didn't just scroll by, yeah.
And you know what? Honestly, I spent the entire day. Thank you. I typed it out as much as I could. I'm like, it's a big deal to us, and we do really appreciate it. Oh, I didn't copy and paste, baby. Every time, typos all the way.
I like the copy and paste method.
So I think that's it for me, though. But thank you.
Okay, yeah, sure. So our last question usually is, because it's led to some weird and interesting answers. Particularly my favorite answer with Mark Steensland when we ask what you're reading, because his just super bullet point quick is he basically broke down how that goes parallel with his writing process, which we never saw coming. So I'd like to ask what you're reading.
So that's an interesting idea. I'll have to remember to come back to that. Because actually, so when I'm reading, I read every night for usually about 2 hours because I don't watch a whole lot of TV.
Mm-hmm. I like to read, but I'm so picky with books.
So what I've recently I'm pulling up my Goodreads because I have to keep it up. So I just finished The Haunted by Daniel Vega, which was the YA haunted house book. Super good. I just finished Laurel's Crossroads, which was super good. I tend to have like a dozen books going on my Kindle or on my iPad all the time. And right now, I have to grab it. Like I'm reading, I just started Wonderland with from Zoe Stage, which it's got a little bit of a Shining vibe so far, and I'm kind of interested to see how that one goes. But Wilder Girls, it's kind of a Lord of the Rings thing, but with a girls' school on an island.
Oh.
Dust, Chris Miller, the Splatter Punk Westerns. I started with the third one because that one actually sounded the most interesting to me. Because I know there's two before. I feel like there might be one or two after. The Good House by Tenna Review Do.
Yep.
It's an incredible haunted house one again. The Boatman's Daughter. Again, I'm reading so much. I don't know. It depends on my mood what I read.
Yeah, you don't mess around.
No, I don't. Boatman's Daughter is super good too. I really like that one.
Andy Davidson.
Fun vibe. I just got Mallory.
Okay.
And I haven't started it because it's an audiobook.
Yep.
And I'm trying to finish Wilder Girls first. And I'm not running this week because I hurt my ankle, because that's also when I do my books, is on my run. So I can get an hour or two or three or whatever while reading. So that's everything. And it's kind of interesting, though, you said that somebody uses their books to read, because when I'm reading, I actually use my phone. Either my phone is next to me or my iPad. I text myself notes to remind me to write something later. You know, like I did, like agony polyps was one of my just popped in my head. Window pane, with pain like spelled out like P-A-N-I-N-E or P-A-I-N. But I will text myself little notes of things that pop into my head while I'm reading all the time. I should do it while I'm running because some stuff comes in then too, but I don't want to stop, because if I stop running, I will never start again. I'll just walk the rest of the way.
That's what happened to me like 20 years ago.
I don't like online books. I can never.
I know you don't like
online.
ebooks.
I'm probably gonna, if I find a good one, I might be able to read it. But like,
I hope so. We'll get you there.
Yep.
I don't like it. I like the real deal.
She loves paper.
I'm kind of with her on that.
The shelf space that it saves, though.
So
yeah, and I love Kindle Unlimited too. I just threw the Double City on it. I love Kindle Unlimited because I can find everybody. You know, I mean, there are so many fantastic books on Kindle Unlimited. Horror books. I mean, I don't know what else is on there because I don't read anything else on there, but it's just such a great resource for anybody that wants to. And I mean, every page turn gives an author like a half a penny or something like that. So I mean, if you ever find a book, at least flip through a couple extra pages before you give up.
I hear, I won't pretend to be an expert on the business side of it, but I do hear that indie publishers, the Kindle Unlimited is definitely beneficial for them to have their books on there.
And my books have pictures, so make sure you always switch all the way to the end. Flip through all 110 pages, even if you don't read it, to make sure you see all the pictures. That'll get me like a dime.
All the pictures.
That'll give me like a dime, maybe a quarter.
Harper, what are you reading right now?
What are you reading?
Not really anything.
Nothing?
I read another DC graphic novel.
Which one?
It's a DC series where it's basically them as kids and they go to like a elementary school. And I read one of those at Mom's house, but
I feel like I bought you something recently.
No, I started reading a Dork Diaries, but I've never been able to finish those.
Yep. I got to get her on those Goosebumps, but I'm not sure if I can talk her into it.
Just try one. Just try one.
No.
What about you, Brennan? What are you reading?
I just finished Mallory a few days ago. You want to know how it ends? You want me to tell you?
Oh yeah, please.
I also just finished the Milan Witch by Catherine Cavendish, which comes out through Silver Shamrock tomorrow as we're recording this. It will already be out by the time it airs, and I really liked that one a lot. It was very creepy, and I don't read a lot of witch-related fiction, and I kind of want to fix that now. And I'm also in the middle of Pivot by L.C. Barlow, and I don't quite know how to describe that one. It's I had this author contact me and ask if I was interested in reading and reviewing, and the um, front cover had a blurb by Josh Mallerman, so I was definitely interested in that. And it was kind of one of those ones where the cover intrigued me, and I didn't want to read the back cover before diving in, and I'm kind of glad I didn't, because it unfolds. It's very, very interesting. I'm about almost 50% of the way through that one. So, future episode, I'll let you know how that goes. How about you, Pat?
Well, I'm just trying to focus on one book right now. It's Paul Michael Anderson's upcoming book called Standalone. It's a novella through Perpetual Motion Machine, and it's a weird but very cool take on the slasher subgenre. It's totally different. I mean, don't take my word for how good it is. Stephen Graham Jones wrote enough about how he liked it, so take that guy's word for it. And besides that, I mean, I'm gonna go back to finish a few other books that I've already talked about, but we'll not discuss here. That'll just prove further that I'm a slow reader.
It's true. If people are listening to episodes like one in August, one in September, and you're still reading the same thing, it's a bad look. Actually, the last one I'll throw out is I just finished Night of the Mannequins by Stephen Graham Jones, and that was a really, really cool one. I'm embarrassed to admit that I'm like the only person in the universe who just didn't connect with The Only Good Indians. Everybody else absolutely loved that book, and it didn't work for me for whatever reason. This one was really cool though, and you just kind of have to trust the author and the author's big name and read it, because I can't really give you much of a synopsis on it.
I'm not reading anything, but I have just finished but I finished but last week I was with Dad. We were watching this awesome movie. It's called Oko's Inn, and it's a Studio Ghibli movie.
Which one was it?
Oko's Inn. It's about this girl who her parents
Studio
die
Ghibli.
when she's young, and so basically they got into a car crash when she was young, and her parents died. What?
No, you're good. Just weird.
Okay, whatever. and then basically she has a bond with the spirit world, and she starts the school with and she starts living with her grandma, and then goes to school, and she starts seeing this little ghost of her grandma's childhood friend that she didn't know died, and basically she started working as a junior innkeeper of her grandma's inn, because the ghost convinced her to. But then there was this bully at school, and that's when she started seeing a different ghost, which was this little blonde girl, and it ended up being the bully's big sister, but she had died before she was born. And then she owned the other inn, and it's basically about them kind of coming over how they're not nice to each other, and then they start being friends at the end.
Very cool.
And Harper did not write her own back cover copy for Harper's Tale, did she?
No. I'm trying to remember what it was. I think I did. I'm sure I did.
Where can people follow you, Matt?
I am on Twitter all the time, at Matthew D. Corley. That's the easiest way to find me for everything, actually. I've got a Facebook page that's very neglected. I have a web page that I'm probably changing the address to soon. So, yeah, just go to Twitter, Matthew D. Corley. I'm always there. Happy to hear from folks.
Sure. And the Kickstarter will be on the episode notes. Thank you, Miss Harper, for joining us. We are really happy we got to talk about your book. And Matt, thank you for talking about all the projects you're going to be working on. It's very exciting.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
And Brennan, as always, you've been a phenomenal co-host, sir.
I know. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I hope you all have a good day. Anyone listening in the morning, have a good morning or night. Thank you for tuning in to Dead Headspace. Check out Harper's Tale and also any book coming out through Matt's company, which if he has the link for a webpage, we'll have that on the episode notes too. Have a good one, everyone. Be good to each other.